guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Janelle. I'm a manifestation coach with a bachelor's degree in psychology. Today I want to talk about whether you should play hard to get with your specific person or not, because I've always been one to tell you guys to play hard to get with the guy that you like as you try to manifest him, and he doesn't need to know what's going on in your mind. He doesn't need to know that you're launching affirmations that he likes you, that he takes care of you, that he worships the ground you walk on and whatnot. But I've had a recent epiphany lately, and I'm the kind of YouTuber that if I change my mind about something, I'm going to upload a video about it. And I know that it's dangerous because when people follow you or subscribe to you, it's because they like your views on something, and not all of them, like not everyone will be happy with you changing your mind. I know that Sammy and Graham has faced some backlash in the past for like changing her mind on how to manifest, even if it was just like a slight change. Some people still freaked out. Some of her subscribers were still like, she just changes her mind about manifesting, she can't even manifest losing weight, which is freaking weird. Like, I don't think that you guys should trust a manifestation coach who never changes their mind about anything, because spirituality is always advancing. And the more you manifest, and also the more you coach people at manifesting, the better you get at it. And you can never get to a point where there isn't room for improvement anymore. So you guys have to expect us to change our minds sometimes. Anyways, I feel like I'm speaking too much, but before we get into it, check out my merch if you haven't already. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, obviously. Follow me on all of my social media accounts, and that includes Self-Pause's TikTok account, as I am their new brand ambassador and I am now running their TikTok account. You can also come find me on my Shopify website for one-on-one coaching. And you can also come find me on my Shopify website, or on my Shopify store, I should say, to purchase a subscription to my VIP Facebook group where we help each other manifest and I answer your questions about manifestation. It's basically coaching for cheap. You just have to be okay with the other girls in the Facebook group seeing what you post. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so should you play hard to get with your specific person? I mean, I feel like my eyelash is unsticking. Can I just go look at my eyelashes real quick? Okay, that's embarrassing. For a long time, I was a firm believer that playing hard to get is the way to go. I've read books like Why Men Love Bitches and All the Rules, and I recommend you girls to read both of those books because they're amazing. I still stand by that. There are some aspects in both of those books that I didn't really agree with, like the book Why Men Love Bitches kind of spoke as if men don't care what you look like. If you're hard to get, it will trick them into thinking that you're hotter than you actually are, and that's true to an extent, but at the end of the day, how hot you are still dictates whether they're gonna notice you to begin with or not. Like, yeah, they still care to an extent. If you're like an 8 and you play hard to get, it's probably gonna make you look like a 10, but if you're a 4 and you play hard to get, the guy who's like a 12 out of 10 is probably not even gonna look your way. It doesn't matter if you're hard to get or not, you know what I mean? Again, you can create the assumption that men think you're hot as shit, okay, but good luck creating the assumption that men don't care about your looks. That would be extremely hard to manifest, because you would try to manifest against like the collective consciousness. Like, you would have to manifest against like biology, like the biology of men, which makes them care about what you look like. And the book All the Rules, the one thing that I didn't really agree with in that book was that they said that even just looking at a man and smiling is already chasing him. Bullshit. That's just being feminine and like happy. Like, that book was saying that you shouldn't even try to make eye contact with a guy. Like, come on. In the past, I had a history of being too nice with guys and they would take me for granted, okay? So when I read those books, my reaction was to swing to the opposite extreme and to be a little bit too much of a bitch. And I'm starting to realize that most men love sweet women unless they have little to no respect for themselves, or they had a distant mother and now they're subconsciously attracted to that. But apart from that, like, you need to find the right balance between coldness and warmth. And I'm starting to realize that not only that, but different women have different personalities. Different women have different strengths and character traits, and when you try to act in a way that is completely opposite to your nature, it can look awkward, and sometimes it won't be as effective or efficient as if you just acted like yourself. Are you guys surprised to hear me say this? That sometimes you should act like yourself? I literally never tell you guys to just be yourselves and blah, 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 and don't play games, blah, blah, blah. That's literally never what I tell you. But when I played hard to get, men would get obsessed with me. But I'm starting to realize that just because someone's obsessed with you doesn't mean they love you. And it's also going to be extremely hard for you to have fulfilling relationships. I was starting to not even believe in love anymore, which is sad. So yeah, I invite you guys to find the right balance between playing hard to get and being sweet and vulnerable. Sometimes wearing your heart on your sleeve works. Sometimes it works. I never thought I would sit here and tell you guys this, but you can be sweet and still not be a pushover. It's hard to explain how to do that. You just kind of have to go by trial and error and see for yourself and see what works for yourself. Like, some women are capable of everything. Like, I would never advise or recommend you girls to like hit on men first or DM men first or walk up to a guy and strike up a conversation, but I'm starting to realize that some women are capable of everything. Like, my mom is the type of girl, my mom is the type of woman, she's married to my dad, but like back in the day when she was younger, like she was the type of woman who could like see a guy that she thought was hot and like walk up to him and start talking to him and he would like fall for her. Well, it's because my mom has really good social skills and she's bubbly and she's feminine and she's happy and she has this energy that all men tend to respond really well to. Some women are capable of everything. If you're like my mom, maybe you're like that. Maybe you don't have to play hard to get and let men approach you first. Maybe you can approach them first. My advice for you is to look at your life and look at the patterns of your love/relationships life and look at what has worked for you. If you've never played hard to get and being super like open and vulnerable and wearing your heart on your sleeve has always worked for you, why would you stop just because I tell you to play hard to get? You know what I mean? Some women are capable of everything. One of my best friends is like that as well. Like, she sees a guy at a party that she likes, she walks up to him, she starts talking to him, and it works. Like, for her, it just works. For me, it doesn't work, but for some women, it works, okay? Another good example is Alexandra Cooper from Call Her Daddy. Now, I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding that woman, but we can't take her charisma away from her. Like, we have to give that to her. She is charismatic. That's how she got that Spotify deal, because she's so good at interviewing people. She's extremely likable. I remember listening to one of her episodes and she was saying that when she was a college freshman, there were girls on her soccer team. She was on the varsity soccer team, and there were girls on the team who were older than her who told her, like, you don't talk to the men on the hockey team. Like, we're not approaching them first. Like, they're not gonna like it, they're gonna reject us, like, they're too cool for school. And she was like, what the heck are you talking about? And she just straight up walked up to them and she was like, what are you guys doing later? You should come to our dorm. Like, you should come hang out with us in our dorm. And it worked. And so for the rest of the year, because of her, the women's soccer team and the men's soccer team hung out together because of her, because she had the guts to do that. Now, for women like Alexandra Cooper, for women who have that kind of personality and that level of charisma, it works for them, okay? I'm awkward, so doing that wouldn't work for me, but if you're an Alexandra Cooper, fine, do it that way. Like, if it works for you, it works for you. Also, you can start to create the assumption for yourself that you can do that. If you absolutely want to chase men, you can do that. You can create the assumption that for you, it works. For me, I don't know if it's because I'm a Capricorn sun with an Aquarius moon and a Virgo rising. You know, things like empathy and intuition are not my strong points. Men tend to react better to me when I'm a little bit standoffish, but then again, I used to lean into that a little bit too much, and now I'm starting to add a little bit more sweetness to my personality. I'm starting to be, some of you are going to cringe, but I'm starting to try to smile a little bit more and be a little more affectionate. And I really feel like I found the perfect balance where I don't like scare men off by being like too hard to get and too cold. Yeah, so, you know, what I'm saying is just suggestions, by the way. If you don't like what I'm saying, you can always just create the assumption that you don't need to care about this stuff, and you're just lucky in love in general, and you can create general assumptions like that, like no matter how I act, men still love me. Like, you can. But this is just for those of you who needed to hear this. Like, sometimes you guys text me like I'm freaking out because I texted my crush first, and in one of your videos you said to not do that. It's okay. If texting your crush first usually works for you, it probably also will this time. It's probably because you have a self-concept that it works for you, paired with, you know, your personality just being that way. Like, if it's your essence, like if it's in your essence to like be bubbly and socially skilled, and you know, people react well to you, you probably don't have to play hard to get. I will say that there is this pattern in the collective consciousness and on this planet where fuckboys, like players, they really love women who are hard to get. But I'm also at a, that's another thing, I'm also at a place in my life right now where I'm like, why would I want a guy who's like that? I remember crying to my therapist, Richard. My therapist is a 78-year-old man. I love him. I went to him because he has a PhD in psychology and over 40 years of experience, but he also is spiritual. We spoke about astrology together all the time, and we spoke about like following your life's purpose. I remember crying to Richard that I sucked at relationships, and he was like, Janelle, you have a lifetime to get better at relationships. Don't focus on that. You're in school. Focus on getting good grades. Focus on developing your personality and coming into your own. You have a lifetime to get better at relationships. Like, it's not like a reason to be sad. It's not something to be sad about. And I used to be like, I've come a long way. Like, I remember this summer I was like talking to a guy, and he kept begging me to like text him first sometimes, and I was like, well, every boyfriend I've ever had, like, they texted me first every day and they never complained about it. And that was a lie. Some of them did complain, but I didn't want him to know that. And he was like, do you realize how happy I would be if you texted me first one time? Like, I would know that you like me. That's the thing. Like, men started to not even know that I liked them. And after a while, they're gonna give up. He did after a while. And right now I'm talking to a guy. Last night, he went to bed before me, and I texted him something that I never would have done before. I never would have done this before, but I'm gonna read to you guys what I said. I'm like holding my laptop because I'm filming with my phone. Texting you this for when you wake up. Have a good day doing army things. He's in the military. You look hot on FaceTime tonight. Ooh. And I love talking to you, because he always said how like he feels like I don't like him, and I don't like talking to him because sometimes I take long to reply, but it's because like I have to film TikToks and YouTube videos every day and I'm busy. And he was like, I don't know how true that is. So see, like, that's what I mean by like, find a balance. Like, don't play hard to get, be hard to get, in the sense that you have a busy life, but you can also make like small gestures like that every once in a while to show that you do care, because sometimes there is such a thing as too cold and too hard to get. And I'm starting to realize that. I guess that today's video was more of a dating advice video than a manifestation advice video, but I still stand by the fact that if you aren't with your SP anymore, or your SP is toxic, or your SP is just not treating you well, and or let's say that your SP is broken up with you and dating someone new, okay, and you ask me if you should text him first, I'm still going to tell you no, because you don't know for sure if you have successfully manifested the new version of him who wants you yet. So to make sure that your manifestation is ready, manifest him reaching out first. Wait until he reaches out first, okay? I still stand by that. Bear in mind, I'm talking about like the early stages of a relationship, not like this guy and I used to date, now he ghosted me. I'm not talking about that, okay? I'm talking about like when you're still in action, and when you're still in the beginning of a relationship, and you're still in the flirting stage, and you have momentum with someone. That's another thing. I used to get scared when I when I would get good momentum with a guy. That's another thing. I used to get scared when I would get good momentum with a guy, and I would panic and take a step back because I was like, oh, this is too good to be true. I have to take a step back before he does. Now I embrace like having a good momentum with someone. Like it doesn't scare me anymore. I know that I always tell you guys to like go slow in the process of seduction, but sometimes you have to take advantage of the fact that you have good momentum with someone. Like that's another thing, like timing. You need to learn how to have good timing with someone. Like you need to pull away when it's time to pull away. You need to lean in and be affectionate when it's time to be affectionate. Again, that's another thing that you'll get with trial and error. Like I think that at the end of the day, like, lead with love, not with fear. Don't be a pushover. Like, stand up for yourself and call out people on their BS, but like still be affectionate. It's hard to explain. I hope that you guys know what I meant throughout this video, and I hope that this video helps you. I mean, I'm not a dating expert. I only have a bachelor's degree in psychology, and I'm not the best person at relationships myself. If you guys want good dating advice, go ask your drug dealer. Chances are he's so disconnected from reality, he's going to give you better advice than I ever could. That's kind of why I go to Richard for relationship advice, because I don't want to ask another 22-year-old girl for relationship advice. It's too close to home. It's too close to home. Sometimes you need to ask someone who can't relate to you for advice, because their objectivity will hit the nail on the head. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you found this helpful. Let me know if you relate to like trying to find the right balance between playing hard to get and being nice and affectionate. And let me know if you've also like experienced like being one way that didn't work for you, being one way that like worked for you more. For me, I used to be too nice, and that didn't really work. But then again, was it just because I had an assumption that I was not lucky in love? Then I read Why Men Love Bitches and all the rules, and I became more cold and hard to get, and that worked in a sense, that worked in a way in the sense that it made men pursue me more. But it also didn't work in the sense that my relationships were never like lovey-dovey and fulfilling. It was just weird. Or attracted guys who had like mother issues. I don't know, it was just weird. So anyways, thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, share with anyone you think would find it helpful, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click the notification bell so that you never miss an update, and I'll see you next time. Bye.